will this chapter will take us almost close to 39-40 hours. I mean, almost as much as it took for Forex. Okay. And this is far more complex than Forex. We have divided the chapter into two parts, that is futures and options. Futures is relatively the easier part, right? Options is what would take more time. And in terms of complexity, right? This is possibly the most complex chapter in FM, especially the second part, options. It's much more complex than Forex. Okay. Now, we will start with futures. We will start with futures. And once we do all the problems of futures, we'll get into the options. And once we do this chapter, then we'll be doing another chapter called interest rate risks and derivatives, right? And then remember, apna forex abhi tak hua nahi hai. There is one more chapter which is currency options, where we will be learning what we will be using what we learn in this chapter and combining it with forex. Okay. Now this chapter layout. One minute. Just open a blank page. We'll be starting with futures. And in futures, the things that we'll be learning will be basics, then trading, trading or speculating, hedging, arbitrage, and we'll be learning basically three segments, that is stock futures, commodity futures, index futures. There is, of course, a foreign currency futures, but I'm not writing it here because foreign currency futures we have already done in Forex, right? How to use foreign currency futures for speculating, trading, etc. Okay. Now, we will first start with basics. Okay. Now, in basics, my starting point would be you remember this? When I taught Forex I established this, no? That future price is nothing but the spot price plus interest. Because when you enter into a future contract, what is it that you're entering? That you will take delivery of something or give delivery of something at a future date. The payment to be made or received at a future date. Only thing is the price is fixed today. Right? Now, let's talk about first. And one more thing, important thing that we learned in futures was that on maturity date, the future price will be equal to the spot. Okay? Now, let's first talk about commodity futures. Okay? Now, when we say commodity futures, we mean all commodities, agro commodities, energy commodities, metal commodities, right? Everything comes under commodities. And which are the two stock exchanges in India where commodities are traded? At least in India, it is on MCX and NCDX, National Commodities and Derivatives Exchange, and Multi Commodities Exchange. Just like you have for stock exchange, BSE and NSE, commodities ke liye ye hai. But having said that, NCDX is more popular for agro commodities, chana dal, tuar dal, cotton, soya beans, right? Whereas MCX is more popular for precious and semi-precious metals, gold, silver, lead, aluminium, platinum, right? Now, let's start with the same example which I took in Forex. Let's say you are a farmer, right? You have produced wheat and you are selling in the market to sell that wheat. And you say, sir, per kg, the price is 40. Now I come to you and I say, boss, look, I want the wheat, but I don't want it now. I want it after 3 months. Right? I will take delivery of the wheat after 3 months and I'll make the payment also after 3 months, but let us freeze the price today. What is the price that you will quote me? 40, which is the spot, plus some interest. Okay. Now let us presume that, now don't write any of this which I'm writing right now. Let's say spot is 40. Okay. Interest rate 10% per annum. Right? So what will be the 3-month future price? Three-month future price? Which is nothing but 40 into 1 plus 0.10. Is this right? No? But now you would say, sir, लेकिन formula तो आपने ये लिखा था. Raise to n. तो ये raise to n क्यों नहीं हुआ फिर? Where is the raise to n here? Compounded? See, this n is the compounding factor. That means the raise to the power n will come into play only when the compounding effect takes place. Right? Now, this 10% per annum was compounded annually. Whereas you are calculating the interest, I mean the price for 3 months. So within that 3-month period, there's going to be no compounding effect, right? But what if I told you that this is 10% per annum compounded monthly? 10% per annum, but compounded monthly. Then what would be the 3-month future price? It will be 40, 1 plus 0.10 divided by 12. Now whole raised to the power 3. because now there will be 3 compounding effects. Okay? So now you will see that in most of the cases, we are using this, but when we write the formula, before writing this, you write this. The basic formula is F is equals to S into 1 plus R raised to the power n. But when solving it, if there is no compounding effect, then you solve it using this. Okay? That is one. Now, but let's come back to this. You're a farmer and you said, sir, 40 plus 10% interest. Is that the price you will quote, or will you quote me? Should you factor in anything else here? Huh? Storage costs. Because had I taken the wheat from you today, then you would have disposed of the wheat today. But now I'm saying I'll take delivery after 3 months. That means for those 3 months, you have to store the wheat somewhere. तो आप तो वो cost मेरे से ही recover करोगे. So what is the cost? What is the price that you will quote me? Spot plus interest plus storage cost. So which means, one sec. Now let me just take this out. Can we say that at the base level, future price for a commodity will be spot plus interest plus storage cost, right? But now the storage cost will come with certain complications. See, for example, let's say you are the farmer, okay, and I've made a contract. I'm making a contract for 3-month futures. Now, for 3 months, you will have to store somewhere. So what you do is, let's say JK sir owns godowns. क्योंकि आप तो फार्मर हो, आपके पास गोडाउन नहीं रहेगा. JK sir owns the godown. You approach JK sir saying, sir, I want to store this for 3 months. What is the storage cost you will charge me? Now, JK sir can present you with 3 probabilities, 3 options. One, I will charge you, let's say, 6 rupees storage cost per month. Okay. But you have to pay the storage cost advance. First, make the payment of the storage cost, then put your goods into the godown. So in that case, what will be your future price that you will quote me? You will say, sir, spot, uske upar interest, plus storage cost, uske upar interest. You're having to pay the storage cost right at the beginning, right? So can I say that if storage cost is paid in advance, then future price is spot plus storage can I do this? Spot उसके ऊपर 1 plus RN plus storage उसके ऊपर 1 plus RN. So spot plus storage into 1 plus RN. Okay. Now JK sir, I give you another option. You put the goods into the warehouse. Don't pay me anything now. But when you take out the goods, you pay me the storage and take it out. Much like your bonded warehouse. Bonded warehouse में customs में हम डालते हैं ना, where you put the goods in the bonded warehouse. When you want to take the goods, you pay the custom duty and take it out. Right? In that case, we say that storage cost is paid in arrears. What will this expression be then? Huh? How will you rephrase this expression? Barabar? Okay. Third possibility. Maybe JK sir's godown is very new and he's trying to attract farmers ki mere godown mein maal rakho, right? So JK sir says, you place the goods, see how my godown is for 1 month, and after 1 month please pay the full storage cost. होता है ना, आप लोग भी लेते हो ना डेमो लेक्चर्स, right? So he says keep it up for 1 month, but at the end of 1 month please pay. Now what will you do? Logically socho, spot on that 3 month interest, and then storage, and on that 2 months interest. Okay, now basically what you're doing is, and now if you imagine the timeline, spot is here, right? If storage cost is payable in advance, matlab storage cost is also payable here, then you add these two and compute the interest and take it here, right? Okay, the second situation was storage was here, I mean spot was here, storage was here. So what did you do? Added interest on spot and took it here and added. Now JK sir is saying spot is here, interest is here, I mean storage is here. So one, you can do take it here and take it here. But the generally globally accepted principle what is followed in futures is spot is here, storage is here. What we do is discount the storage by 1 month and then take the whole thing 3 months. That is generally acceptable. I mean, you could say, sir, arithmetically it will be the same thing. Yes, bilkul, it will be the same thing. But worldwide, what is followed is you always discount the storage cost, bring it into present value, add it to the spot, and take it to the future, right? Which means, can I say that if it is paid midterm, now when I say midterm, I'm not referring to exactly the middle period. I'm saying midterm, matlab any period from here to future date, right? This will be future is equals to spot plus PV of storage into 1 plus RN, where PV of storage is storage into 1 upon 1 plus R N S. This N is not equal to this N. Huh? This N, ये ऊपर वाला N is 3 months. नीचे वाला NS is the period for which you are discounting the storage. Right? In my example, 1 month. Okay. Now, having said this, this formula, the third one, can universally be applied in all situations. But it wouldn't make sense. For example, let's take the first one, paying in advance. Spot, and then you're paying storage. But in that case, you can write PV of storage, but there's nothing to discount because the storage you're paying today only, right? But you can still write that this is the PV of storage, right? So that means here also I can write PV of storage into 1 plus Rn. Second one, paid in arrears. Now technically I can do, no? Bring that here and take the whole thing there, although it will be stupidity, but still I can do that, right? So that means here also I can write spot plus PV of storage into 1 plus Rn, and the third one anyway I can write spot plus PV of storage into 1 plus Rn, right? So theoretically this formula works everywhere, but then please remember, although I'm writing this in the form of a formula, but when solving, do not keep this in your mind as a formula, because it's very important for you to remember this timeline, which is where, for example, spot is here, storage is here, then you know that add this and bring it here and take it back. Spot is here, storage is here, add this and take it here. Spot is here, storage is here, bring it here, add this, take it here. Try to remember it in terms of timelines. Acha. Now, wait. Have we ever discussed something about continuous compounding? Yeah. Continuous compounding? No. Now that continuous compounding is what will be applicable in most of the problems in futures. Now, 1 minute. You'll have to take this down, but before that, wait. Continuously compounded rate of interest, which is also referred to, or you will find it in the question as CCRI. You have to watch out for this term, either this term or this term. Okay. Now, what is this concept of continuous compounding? See, when we did 10% per annum, what is the default assumption you make compounding? Yes. Annually. Okay. Now, if I say 100 rupees at 10% will become 110 at the end of first year, and at 10% again, this will become 121. But then my point is that this 10 rupees, does it magically appear on 31st December? प्रकट होता है क्या ये 21? Are you earning 21 on 31st December, or are you earning it throughout the year? Throughout the year. So if you are earning throughout the year, then are you earning on 31st December, or are you earning every month something? Okay. So if you're earning something every month, so are you earning something on 31st of the month, or are you earning daily something? Daily. And if it's daily, so रात को 12 बजे कि throughout the day? And if it's throughout the day, throughout the hour, throughout the minute, second, millionth of a second, trillionth of a second. Understand, money doesn't compound yearly, or money doesn't earn yearly or monthly. It's an asset which earns every millionth of a second. For example, if I put 100 rupees now in the bank, cut, it has earned something. It's earned. Right? Now, this concept is called as a continuously compounding rate of interest, where you're not talking about monthly, daily, hourly, or second. You're talking about millionth or trillionth of a second compounding. Now, if it is yearly compounding, you do raise to the power, say for 2 years, 2, 3. But if I'm saying it's compounding every trillionth of a second, then raised to the power will be what? It's an infinite number, right? Now, normal compounding, we say amount is equals to principal into 1 plus r raised to the power n. But when it comes to continuous compounding, now remember this term, I'll just mark this. This 1 plus r raised to the power n is actually the compounding factor, because uske bagal mein jo p hai wo to principal hai, right? Now, in case of continuous compounding, what we do is we write amount is equals to principal, and we change the compounding factor. Instead of writing 1 plus Rn, we write e raised to the power r. E raised to the power Rn, where e is a mathematical constant of 2.718. Right? Now understand, if I gave you, let's say 100 rupees is the principal, R 8% per annum, and you have invested it for 4 months. How much will this become? If this 8% per annum is a continuously compounded rate, how much will this amount become at the end of 4 months? कैसे निकालोगे? Amount principal into E raised to 0.08 into 4 by 12. Right? Which is amount equals to 100 into E raised to 0.08 divided by कितना आएगा आंसर? Hi. Now remember I told you ये calci वाला method अभी भूलने से नहीं चलेगा. Because 90% of the problems that we'll be doing in derivatives will be based on continuous compounding. Acha, now why is this concept of continuous? See, first time in your life when you were taught interest, which interest were you taught? Simple. And then someone came and told you that simple interest is not an efficient way of calculating. Compound. Now here I'm coming and telling you that even compound is not an efficient way of calculating because money doesn't grow at the end of every year. Now we are just taking the calculation one step ahead. Continuous compounding. Right? Now, if I, one sec, let us, sorry, time ho gaya, but 1 minute. Suppose I told you e raised to the power of 9%, 0.09 for 2 months. Can you tell me what is just the answer of this? E raised to the power 0.09 into 2 divided by 12. क्या आया? इसका आंसर ये आया. Is the answer for this? एक minute, रुको. I mean, just give me. This is R 9% and period was 2 months, right? Now, suppose I told you E 0.6% for 5 months. 6% for 5 months. 0.06 divided by 12 into 5. E raised to 0.025. इसका आंसर ये है. हाँ जी. ठीक है? Which means now understand something. Although I've taught you the technique for doing this, please remember, as long as the period is less than 1 year. See, in all the examples, earlier my period was 2 months, 5 months. As long as the period is less than 1 year, e raised to something, the answer is 1 point that something. E raised to 0.015, answer is 1.015. E raised to 0.025, answer is 1.025. E raised to something is 1 point that something. But as long as the period is less than 1 year, period more than 1 year, this will not work. Okay. Now, I have technically taught you the shortcut. In the problems, I'll be using the shortcut. Right? It's for you to practice it. Because here in the class, my objective is not to make you perfect in this. My objective is to make you perfect in futures and options. So this is something that you need to remember. E raised to something, as long as the period is less than 1 year, is 1 point that something. And remember, India mein futures are traded for how many months? Stock futures, 3 months. Right? And currency futures, 1 year. So we are very rarely looking at a period beyond 1 year. So in most of the problems when I'm solving, na, e raised to something, I'll write that. Don't you even dare to ask me that, sir, ye number kahan se aa gaya? Right? Okay, chalo. We'll continue with this in the next lecture. Don't write anything right now here. I'll show it to you in the next lecture. You will need to take it down in a more organized way. And don't miss tomorrow next lecture, boss. 1 minute now.